And greetings and welcome back to our playthrough of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We're diving into the next part of the first trial, which is already extremely long as it is. We're about to bring in this mysterious woman that pretty much everyone was gaslighting Ryunosuke into saying wasn't there. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. This Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There's a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are the one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't know a tiny thing about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet. And he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. I was thinking about a detective. He apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Is that a professor? Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I want to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you feel that way. Kazuma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. It was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one as that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. Let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement in our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. I have no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Hello, Kazuma-sama? Defendant Naruhodo! Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. For those old fossils knows what's hit them. Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed in me, then I'm pretty sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. Man, what a guy. Alright then. I'll say the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria at University Street. An extra large portion, of course. That does sound good. The court hereby presumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Aoshi, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under painful scrutiny from the government.
Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's something to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. But you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down our nation founders?
Does he mean founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke.
What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England?
Shut up! Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing about the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
I won't deny that I'm no expert, I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke. Despite the wide-eyed look of terror.
Little brats!
Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett.
Yes. Your Excellency!
How could anyone miss that in a restaurant?
Oh, what a delight it is to work with such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land.
Tea. Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea.
So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court?
Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I've been working undercover as the head waiter at the carnival, but my true—
Yes, we know about you already.
Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yes. I think I did, didn't I? Your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Reinosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty.
So, dear lady, once again, if we trouble you for your name and occupation, please.
You're speaking in cursive.
I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what?
They say her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in Yuma University's medical faculty.
My, what a weird treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird song.
As far as I can tell. The detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Or you. You've really been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called Le Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says, yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She said that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. We don't want to engineer her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau.
Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps?
Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it appeared the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Really dressed up for a student. Med school, medicine even.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? You have an absolutely conclusive witness statement.
Well, looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, we'll have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor wasn't able to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and it got into a fierce argument. Then not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. This is a condemning testimony indeed. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection!
Why, you filthy wretch! Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard! Look at this Snow-White angel! I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe.
Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before. I reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. I mean, as much as anyone changes their clothes in this series. As you can see, there's nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. You sure?
Unless and until the precise location where the witnesses have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot.
There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Well, that's unfortunate. Those are the witnesses' own words on the matter. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. If I didn't fire the gun I picked up, there must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means, this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. Oh, she totally did it. That's smug. Little. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Okay, what evidence I have? I think I'm gonna press... yeah, here.
Yes!
He wasn't able to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at the clinic, correct? That's right. Must be better aware of the fact. It seems so, yes. She heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events.
Dear me, what a harrowing experience. You traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that subjected you to this terrible plight.
So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right. Other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor wasn't able to eat, but I had been given permission to drink water. It appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. What do you think, Ryunosuke? What is this last statement? Yes, that's important. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case.
Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing,
The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony.
Well said, counsel.
Very well. Miss Brett, can you repeat what you just said to be added in the official testimony? Gladly, she said. And wipe that smirk off your face. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm gonna remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. Okay, she said they both had a glass, but I only see one. And you can't choose by yourself, that looks silly.
Yes!
That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That was exactly as it was left. That's correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd. Very odd.
Dear me, what taunts the defense's inability to express itself?
Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers.
The cheers.
Miss Red just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. Oh. You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here.
Objection!
I'm supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutiae. What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case?
Objection!
Minutiae, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed the glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless.
But it should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try and tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Inspector, what did the lady say? It was seen that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was also terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all. Saying, why would you do that? That's okay, something an innocent person would do, yeah? Good gracious.
Sorry.
Ah, your speech rocks is fancy. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. You must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before our very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or two in her state of disarray? That's absurd! Tell me, Yonosuke. Oh, really? Let me take it that you're now going to accuse this vulnerable young and beautiful woman of mischief? What? No. This can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the seat. You've seen that she slipped into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency. A small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. So, the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she moved the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. The student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. No pretentious accusations. You've wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she moved this glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well... If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. The handbag's important. She could have put the gun in there. Did you put the glass in your handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated that following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. Right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No!
Order, order, order!
What is the meaning of this, Inspector?
The meaning of what, Prosecutor Algie?
Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Insert bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations.
Brilliant work, partner. Now you have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. You think so, Kazuma? Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. Well, as I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I don't think this didn't lawyer it, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. He's conveniently forgot about it. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. You can see right through what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. The contents are clearly visible. Exactly. There's also no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. And you got me there. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruto-san. Order! Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. I think we've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, Counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I'm satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling.
Indeed. And there's only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
Ah, dang it, Kazuma's down. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Rinosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean, this is it?
I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. Let the weak are meat while the strong eat. You're wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. Like you can chew onto your heart's content, but inside of yourself.
Kazuma? What? Is there really no chance to turning this trial around? You are the judge. There's something about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means, there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial can continue. Very well. I now proceed immediately to the ruling. Let me look at it. I guess it wouldn't be like a convenient hidden pocket or something in here, would there? What about this? Is this anything?
It seems we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all.
A smug little... Runosuke and Naruto have considered all of the evidence placed before me. I hereby find...
Yes!
Wait, Jackson-see? Runosuke? I don't think you rule on this case yet.
Objection!
This amateurness is getting tedious. As Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That's the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean, then the ruling on the case at this time will be out of the question.
Objection!
This blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. I think we have no problem with this evidence.
You better know what you're doing, Runosuke. Understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
Huh, my thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But be warned that if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? That's a big gavel. Yes, Your Excellency. Take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Okay. They say there's nothing to look at in the handbag. Is this something?
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say? On the victim's wrist? It has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. Louis Coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was seen unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in the report.
What did I tell you? In any case, you have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? No possible way of knowing either.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ochi points out, no firm connection to the case can be shown. I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Britt has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now.
Oh, of course, dear lady. We shouldn't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
What are you thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If you can just link that burn to the case. If you can do that, you might be able to pry this shutting door back open again.
Just give up counsel. He can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence? Evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. As soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? The defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burden and this trial. Okay. Find something related to the burn. Can't see anything. It kinda looks like this little cow symbol. Yeah, it's one of those hot plates they serve steak on. Sounds delicious.
Yes!
But anyway. What's this, Council? Get another print? Your Excellency, I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? Seeing you witness this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? Oh.
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
This little thousand.
Yes!
The beefsteak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the beefsteak was served on. The plate.
Oh! Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of the Carnival. Huh. This emblem on the plate, the hot plate, a fire emblem you could say, and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
And even if that is the case, you can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, the day before that. It was likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well,
Objection!
Stanley Prosecutor, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This is no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 9 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds.
okay, I know that's definitely really hot.
It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As a head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter.
Yes!
He is. There you have it, something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Professor Aoji?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Inosuke, do you think...
It's a trap.
There's only one explanation I could think of that makes up this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson... Okay, out of these 3, no one can remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, what are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already? Dead? Knowing what we know now is the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
That's madness!
Order! Order! Order, please! Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. It's just a ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Aoji. It's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. it's true, as you now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency!
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. You have something to say?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours.
Jeez. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese?
Yeah, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter till now?
My mother tongue. The Queen's English is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible.
Okay, even if she somehow wasn't guilty, we can't let her get away with this.
But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I believe that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you on your own level.
Oh, hello.
You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We're truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally gonna hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When a waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Okay, does that not count as an admission? She totally poisoned him. It was captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you.
I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
Not at all, not at all.
It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady.
It seems very clear from your testimony that this poor talk of the victim's murder is utterly irrelevant.
I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today.
The Minister of Justice?
May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen.
Thanks. Well, you have to forget the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. Real this time. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, Your Excellency. You may proceed with the cross-examination.
Maybe press first. I don't have direct
Yes!
evidence.
Without leaving a trace.
If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, whenever a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body.
Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga?
As I said, I always aim for a flawless investigation.
If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Oh no, perish the thought. Throwing such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, like a Suchiology, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
I need some evidence to back us up here.
Yes!
Tell me what that's supposed to mean. Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found on the crime scene, room for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so?
Wainwright, that kind of all is open for business as usual today. Just days after the incident.
Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction,
Wait.
vital evidence may be lost.
You okay there, Hosonaga?
Doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand?
Killer Blue. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful.
Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ochi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. What do you think, Rinosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a self-witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean... Kazuma? What, Rinosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. How about the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga? The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. Might present an opening, maybe. Also, how does this towel stay so white? Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing on the last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. Get too far. A little slower.
Yes! Wait.
What's with this clip art thought bubble though? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with his Brett as an interpreter. But things are very different now. For his testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when you're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? New mechanic? I'll explain how to do an algorithm escape. So I'll deal with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment we're focused on Miss Brett. Is this person actually making a current statement? By moving the marker left and right with the arrow buttons, you can turn your attention to the other people in the stand. He knows they're in a game. While looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. You can catch the person at just the right time, and you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you notice a strange atmosphere among the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with the arrow buttons and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with A, and see what's on his mind.
Wait. Excuse me.
Ugh. What's the meaning of this? Don't die. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. Looked like you were thinking about something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What's the meaning of this? Is it the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment? If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yeah, what he said. Yes, not to mention the fact he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always tried to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that? This is a bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Maybe settle down there a little bit. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The corporal would sip the glass bottle of water as evidence. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death?
Yes, it was that bottle.
Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Can you shut up a bit, Hosonaga?
And to inspect the evidence now.
No, Rinosuke. Don't drink the water. Don't drink the evidence.
Might be poison. Love present now. I'm gonna present this bottle right now and shove it.
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, you know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have possibly have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you!
Objection!
This is outrageous. To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. Little rookie imbecile. Have you considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? I mean, even the biggest inkling that your rash accusation could jeopardize the entire treaty.
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime.
Well,
The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. You're here to determine the truth.
If I may.
I will silence you forever for this disgraceful attack on—
Oh.
It's you! You should be silent.
Oh. Got him.
Of course. Your lady!
I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. Offer my most humble apologies.
I'm sorry, my lady. So what are you preferring?
I describe your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigate this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not.
Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what'd you find, Inspector? Order a test for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. You can find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the Chief Coroner himself. No. No!
I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you.
But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Britt.
Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved.
Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Velma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more.
Well, if you excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Please, wait.
What is the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Sato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense.
I think we can push on for one more chapter. I understand you are the digital assistant to the defense, but why the sudden ingress into my courtroom?
A judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify.
Yes, I fully understand. I only asked for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense.
You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded.
5 minutes. I will now allow a moment more.
Your Excellency.
I am most grateful.
Who exactly are you?
I'm sorry, there's no time. Please simply accept this for now. It's the Zilbrett's research.
Englishwoman's?
After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper.
Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case?
I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself.
Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that?
Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom.
Oh, you're gonna get yours too, Aochi.
There's too little time for me to read in detail. I'll summarize what I could on note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it.
This is wonderful, thank you.
Goodbye then. And good luck.
You have had long enough, Council. We cannot detain our English class any longer. Well, let me get a good look at this evidence. Poison. Instant paralysis of the entire body. When the poison enters the body through a wound. It's from South America. As the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but...
The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency.
Minosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Whoa, Miss Brett?
Yes, Your Excellency.
If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer.
It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline.
Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question, however. I must ask you to treat that as an order.
I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense.
My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel. What's this new evidence that demands the court's attention?
The literally new evidence I just got handed.
Yes!
Mr. Zelbrett, we understand you're studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University, doing research. Research by sheer coincidence, perhaps, into a deadly poison.
What?
Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What complete utter nonsense. Curare, you said? I never even heard of it.
You wouldn't have done.
What do you mean?
I mean, you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison.
What?
Order! 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 And so does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribes of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists.
To lace their arrows?
The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and is first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery. These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been screaming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed.
True. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. According to this, however, it's the other way around.
What do you mean, the other way around?
The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, counsel. The moment this toxin enters the person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. Oh, terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. With a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediately paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move.
That's hideous.
The observer would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. Before the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. you're suggesting that this bottle, Council, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? Here the unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense.
If I may.
All these facts. You think you're so clever. You must be taught some.
It's you.
You must be taught. Of course. Here, lady!
So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it?
What?
You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them? I'm appalled. What a loathsome act.
Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. You're British, you do that shit all the time.
Whatever do you mean?
Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this. Everyone refused to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules.
What's so funny?
Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency,
Yes, Miss Brett.
may I borrow that bottle for a moment, please?
Oh. Yes, I don't see why not.
Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys.
Sorry.
To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Little police games and these forced courtroom antics. It's laughable, really. I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers!
Wait, what are you doing?
No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You look quite stunned.
So, no Karari? The bottle's clean. Is that what you're saying?
You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Excellency.
Yes, Miss Brett?
Would you like to be excused now, please? I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries.
Yes, dear lady. We're most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it.
Well, I suppose there's nothing else. This little Far Eastern charade will make for an interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London.
culprit did put Karai poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. And the notes say it has to enter through a wound. The defense refuses to change this position. You serious?
Objection!
Oh, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw. Miss Brett drinking the water from it.
That's right. Which rather complicates your argument, I think.
And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? Very well. The defense truly intends to assert this claim. I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. When a poison enters the body through a wound. What is saying Zelda Witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed?
Yes!
This is this riddle. It's right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. This report is ever gibberish. This impudent dumb scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. It would direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? It's the second page, right? You've been hearing a lot about this Karai poison. It's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years. To lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. We've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there will be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So sorry the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel. No, that would be madness. Well, I actually found the answer to that conundrum in its research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, say. See, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. The Karai enters the body through an open wound. It has a terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research, you knew Karai's special characteristics, and you knew that you can make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... Oh shit, it's alive. Rapscallion? Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure. But I fail to see how it possibly...
So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It really makes you look silly.
What are you trying to say?
Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw.
Schoolboyish? Huh?
As even your brain has managed to deduce, Kurari is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus.
Oh, yes, well, of course. Yeah.
So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he?
Yes. Right. Good gracious.
That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no?
Order. Order in the core. Order. The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest?
Yes, this Kurari poison is completely irrelevant to the chase on trial. That's right. Really, even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that.
Please don't take your swan on me. Ew, so fierce.
Objection!
Baby's first objection. I don't think so, Mr. Gilbert.
How dare you use that tone with me?
You know very well that there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim follow the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As now that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the Kurari? Because he got a tooth taken out, leaving a hole. A wound, as you could say.
Take that!
As the spread so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there's a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of the Kurari are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Rich man died because of his bad teeth. Tragic. Mr. Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You said knowledge to orchestrate this.
I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly I can't resist. Childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are also puerile.
What do you mean?
Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it.
No.
I mean, you could just slip. Oh dear. How careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed.
You literally destroyed it in a courtroom. No! What is happening?
English woman, she just smashed that bottle. And in the Supreme Court. What a terrible blunder.
Officer, what are you waiting for? Let go as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible, at once.
You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. If neither technology nor the presence of mind to recover it.
How could you? You won't get away with this.
You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle. Or not.
First of all, who are you calling little boy? You.
And let us not forget. We still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution?
Oh, of course, of course.
You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady? That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is a little schoolboy.
Objection!
No, you killed the victim that day, using curare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you eventually picked up the pistol you arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. See? You had every opportunity to commit this crime.
What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence.
Exactly.
And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Living cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Ryunosuke, yes? You've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? You lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. But if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head.
In my head.
You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but... So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. If only this wasn't a black and white photo. Oh my god, there's blood. I mean, there's a clue now. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe that smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. Okay, if you shot from the front and the bullet did pass through, it had to have been facing the direction of this bloodstain.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes, what is it? As you said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if you perhaps took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, you played the stake that you took to the victim's table that day?
Objection!
Wait a minute, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh really? And what of it? Was it that must have happened when you shot the professor? No, that can't be the case. One, because I didn't shoot him. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies that the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means that the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Gazelle Brett. I beg your pardon?
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense! Is it worse you expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean? Yes, I took the plate. In the interest of preserving evidence for the scene of the crime. I took it, heat and all. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it.
You did what?
I took the steak that you have been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all. In the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now! Inspector. Who was to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately? Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man. Show the court. Steak is 3 days old. Is it still good? Probably not. Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. Oh, no blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible!
What an unbecoming expression, little boy.
You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire.
I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion in this trial.
Let's hope so. Let's pretend the 10th courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over.
This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. The sorry-looking accused wished to examine it again. Be my guess.
Huh? A gold coin. Oh, like the Mr. Curio guy was missing before. Bullion and bullion. Time to sidetrack this case once again. Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward no matter what. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume a further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
Objection!
The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak. Hey, it's good.
Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial.
I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must endure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled.
I see. As a really firm ally of my country, that's still your position, is it?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for Defense, you now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found?
Let's look at it. 100%.
Got it!
Good gracious, that's...
Hold on.
What on earth?
Oh, I error one at that.
Miss Brett,
This is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
Ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Objection!
I got to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat. That could simply be a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? Arehoe Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? This turns out to be irrelevant to the case. I'll whip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. Excellency! Yes, Counsel. Arehoe Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. You're technically not a lawyer in the first place.
Objection!
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway.
Shut up!
Yeah, a lot of shouting.
Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant.
The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that stake. The owner. The owner of the koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is...
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antique dealer and owner of Rasate, Kurio Korekuta-san.
Curio? As in Mr. Cucumber or something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable.
What kind of name is Giselle? Oh yes. The woman who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that I was up to something with his koban coin when it happened. Exactly the moment the gun was fired. A gunshot, interestingly not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing?
They put it for treasure. Indeed, the Hoi Erakoban, my prize coin.
Then it's Hoi Erakoban. Do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No, please. I would quirk with the Hassan's koban. He's sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate. It makes no sense.
Yes!
Which is why I'm asking to bring Koto Hassan back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer. Bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe this case is still going. This is the first case, why is it so long? What's this all about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? And my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves.
Spotted by the police, we were like miserable dogs. What's to bear false witness?
Sure, put that knife away.
And when cast from this courtroom, myself, I became a ruined man in a trice. A wordless, withered antique.
Nothing more I have to say.
The sun has set on this rusty shop owner's existence.
Be that as a big corp with Hassan. Something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your rusty memory serves, have you ever seen this koban before?
Ah! That's it? The very exact one that it is.
Are you okay? Okay, Hassan.
The splendid, splendid Hoey treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. Can't be.
As I thought.
Young man. Am I this decrepit old fool? Me out of my misery. Where's my treasure? Where was it dropped?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. You found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking the seasoned meat's juices.
Sandwich? This is soaking? Seriously?
It couldn't have fallen there by accident. Which means... Somebody must have hidden it there on purpose.
Somebody concealed my hallway treasure, which is a slab of meat and a metal plate.
Who would do such a thing? It's an unconscionable thing. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Osanaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case.
Yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation.
The Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We want to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. But that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes. I took on the job of waiter as a restaurant in order to flesh out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there's a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Korkuta's Koban is all too clear.
What?
What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Korkuta's Koban and hid it under the stake?
And the guy who's sweating on the stand right now?
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Yesanosa. Ow! How dare you monster! Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? On the recipe of the Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? When it wasn't me, it was Ido! Ido was the mastermind behind all this, your baby. Look at him, he is so shocked. So betrayed. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, innocent little baby? It's you who's a monster, Sergeant Nosa. Nippon Imperial Army. Sergeant Yasandos are preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Do any of you know? At extraordinarily low wages, the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe. I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I enjoy chopping my way through a good steak at the same time. And your target that day was the old man in his Koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all.
Afraid of a phantom thief you are.
I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. It's when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. I'd have too. I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could. On the double. Slipped it under the steak. Hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with this again at a later date. This is ridiculous.
Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time.
Well, Miss Brett.
Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. An esteemed gentlewoman, please be excused, Your Excellency.
Indeed. The death of the Golan was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It certainly appeared to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder.
Of course it is. And going under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me.
Nonsense, is it? Well, oof.
As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. It's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness.
Very well. Not all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered. I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day.
Now hold up. Hold it. Yunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... The thing about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. That's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett!
What is it now?
I'm afraid, just one last time. There's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago.
What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What distinct nonsense is this?
Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? I'm going to see evidence, counsel. Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory. Where is evidence to prove it? Okay, if this steak has the coin hidden under it, then it's not her steak.
Take that!
The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed.
Now you're just splitting hairs.
Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural?
Unnatural? What on earth do you mean?
It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Notice what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could ever even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork.
Of course she did. She's a fine English gentlewoman herself.
Then take a good look at this steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks here. Looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
Objection!
What is your actual point?
This is like when Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't help.
Shut up!
Oh, whatever you say, dear lady.
As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer.
Of course, of course. This will be over in a blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave everything. I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Here, lady!
What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have you ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? I said that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency.
Everything?
Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson.
Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase. Typical Japanese empty threats.
How can you be so sure?
Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago.
Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet.
Hasn't been? What?
But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it.
Objection!
I don't have it.
I don't.
But there's someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, we'll solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request to the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that reveal the truth about this whole affair? The guy who keeps taking everything from the crime scene.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga! What? I have it. Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I enjoyed chomping my way through a good steak, as well as admitting to stealing pork with a son's coin. He knows he slipped it under the steak.
You watch it, cadet.
I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the stake that you put the coin under, in fact, your own stake? Attention! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the stake that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
Objection!
That makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Objection!
If the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. Even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. We're too busy stealing more important things. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. She's not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two stakes over? Well, didn't he? You did switch the plates? Well, after it happened, I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that. I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my stake and hit the coin underneath it. When the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. He decided to investigate my slap and beat deputy. I began my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my stake with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have me. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There's no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform. That is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's stake and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Mr. Hosonaga. Yes? During this trial, you told the court this. You said that he had not only taken Miss Brett's stake after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, he had taken both. You got her now. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What can I possibly tell us now? I mean, of course I have tough meat. You can't have the slightest bearing on this case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of this time, lady.
I beg your pardon.
Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the stake pen promises to prove such a problem for you, no?
You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me.
The reason the defense asked to see that plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing.
Things he remembers.
I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there's a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now that you have evidence to prove it, the plate you're eating from, Miss Brett. Let's not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and the plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. There it is. Here's the other steak in his plate. Please feel free to examine it. So much steak going to waste. The blood stain. It's clearly visible, look!
Yes!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate. It says that at the moment that the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right. Mr. Zilbrett. It's you! Done. By Japanese. Me. A Japanese schoolboy. No. 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 Such? They're chicks. Swans don't have weird chicks, they have little weird looking goslings. So cygnets, I think, called. I must return to my home planet. Aw. Thank you, little babies. Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior from an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett. I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life, using Kurare. As you surmise, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So he planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water. Because Kurare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There's no going back at that point. I concocted the plan on the spur of the moment. I plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happen to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of Kurare in my handbag. And my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were two guns.
Yes.
And then I finished my coffee and got out to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which she had presumably placed on the floor. A place where you were sure that I would notice it.
Everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun, as I intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up,
That's when you shot the professor with your own gun. You know at that point he was already dead.
naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion. That was the point the waiter appeared.
Oh, see, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside.
That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around.
Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun.
So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency,
Yes.
I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later?
I shall call on you.
Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san.
It would seem. The trial has finally run its course. I believe the prosecution is in agreement.
This can't be. Takatsuchi Ochi does not lose. Nothing like this rookie student.
You better start getting used to tough opposition.
Inosuke Naruhodo.
Oh, yes?
This insult to the Ochi family name will never be forgotten.
You become conceited with the Age Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. A 1,000 millennia may pass, and still, the Oji clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. The trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Inosuke Naruhodo, present an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. Use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is modern methodology. After all, it's only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But our Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits you. But what will it look like I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you're able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Inosuke Naruhodo. Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Excellency. It's time to deliver the final verdict. Hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Not guilty.
Oh, look at the pretty Sakura battles.
Where are they even coming from? This court is now adjourned. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place at Yumi University Street. Don't forget. Is that the professor again? No, this is Sato.
Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence.
Our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know.
Oh no, I didn't do anything.
Thank you so much. If you hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out.
The kind words should really be for my father. I'll still be doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate.
Your father? Oh, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yuma University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikoto was studying overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Nozoki. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I will learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. The Japanese man Kasana is his soul. This blade shows you where I need to go. I guess on anything that's in my way. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Really, she's going to face trial herself now. She's a true culprit after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. Or Shanghai. What? Shanghai? To celebrate would not be appearing court again in this country. I'm certain of that. What? Why not? Consular jurisdiction? Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate. But what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for our crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then, who? Who's gonna bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case. Somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as it's not a serious incident of my political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. I'm afraid that for the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day I have no doubt. That woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming. And we're the ones driving it. Well, I think there's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor... You're right. There's no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Rinosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start by having some fun. In that case, might I suggest the carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. I don't know if I want you serving me with that cough of yours. You're Detective Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To the carnival! Will you accompany us, Professor? Of course. Carnival's food is second to none.
I should go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release.
Oh, yes, thank you. Asuma. Yes, Rinosuke? I just want to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? The defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it's only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it. Being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh, no, not me. All the tense verbal combat. I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to, that's all. Because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Rinosuke. You know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his client. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said and didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick into it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just like at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stop believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it. Through your own efforts. And because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Inosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Sounds serious. What is... you're still here, are you? You're having a moment, Hosonaga. Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've raised some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. You should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your stay to a Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes, that's you. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Susato-san. Acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. He brought you the evidence, be respectful. It's because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. And that's all for that case. We're finally moving on to the next one, next stream. See you then.